welcome to this online music profile. My name is Jane Cornwell, and I am the jazz critic for the London Evening Standard and a long-time writer for the jazz magazine Jazzwise. This webcast is with Marek Pędziwiatr, aka Latarnik, who is the pianist, synth player and vocalist in EABS. Now, EABS is the acronym for the Wrocław-based electro-acoustic beat sessions, and they're one of the most popular acts in Poland right now. I love the fact that EABS blend traditional Polish jazz with other genres. They use this idea of reconstruction from deconstruction and jazz filtered through the prism of hip-hop and socio-political commitment and very often commentary. The seven-piece EABS have recorded several albums and they continue to make music that's fresh. Here's a brief taste. Welcome, Marek. It's great to have you here. I just thought maybe we could start by asking how the members of EABS came together to form the band.
We have to go back to 2010. I decided to move to Wrocław without knowing anyone from the town, and I moved with my friend Adam Kabaciński, who was a bass player. Our favorite jam sessions were at Lulubell Club in Wrocław. There was one special thing on these jam sessions. It was Spisek Jednego. He was a DJ on stage, so he was like scratching different things like trumpet sounds or some samples. He blended it with the musicians on stage. When we played for the first time, we realized that we have something in common, because DJing is a component of hip hop culture. I was hip hop all the way back then. Like I loved jazz, but hip hop is my life. We felt like we have to do something more, something outside the club. Spisek was a resident of a legendary puzzle club. He came out with the idea of creating our own jam session. We called it electro-acoustic beat sessions. At first, electro-acoustic beat sessions was actually an event. It was a movement. It all started in Puzzle Club. It was evolving on stage. So we started with a little form, and we extended it to improvised pieces of music. The stage was open, and so the rule was that anyone could come on stage. There was many musicians coming and going on stage with us, and some of them were feeling it, some of them were not. And all of a sudden, we realized that we're solid. We're actually a band.
Slowly, you came more to looking at Polish jazz and the roots of Polish jazz.
There was a breakthrough in EABS. We started as interpreters and constructors of Western music. And things started to change when we were asked to perform in Vertigo Jazz Club in Wrocław on that festival. And they asked us to prepare some film music of some Polish composer. So our first idea was actually Komida. We figured out a track list which was not that obvious, because we did it with an approach of hip hop heads, of diggers. I feel like I'm partly connected with Komida because I feel like we had the same feeling of the melody, because when I'm creating melody, first I'm trying to sing it, not playing it. And so another thing is the space, the air in his music. His melodies are really simple. I feel like Komida left this space for us young musicians to fill it.
Let's just take a quick look at Komida and his musicians here. I think this idea of Slavic melancholy, which Komida talked about, and something you've kind of, again, been diggers about,
Yes.
Dived into. Tell me a little bit about this.
I remember when I asked an older and wiser guy, who is Michael Urbaniak, about his opinion of Slavic melancholy. And his answer was that you have, in music, you have happy chords and sad chords. And Slavic melancholy is when you play a happy chords and these chords seem sad.
Waltzing Beyond, the song On the Day the World Ends, from Repetitions, if we're talking about Slavic melancholy. Let's just take a look here. You had a Komida triptych that you did those other two on vinyl that sold out. And then you sort of extended this, we've touched on it a bit, but this idea of reconstruction from deconstruction to your 2019 album, Slavic Spirits, which nods, as you said, to history and mythology while blending in soul, funk, and electronic music. How did you prepare for this album?
I think that Slavic Spirits is here. It's the approach to music. In Slavic Spirits, we musically, we focused on Slavic mythology. The main idea was to feel all these spirits. Przywitanie Słońca, sun worship. That's the special one. Before I wrote this song, I went to workshops with a group of my friends. We had workshops of opening chakras. We were just singing without any words, just imitating some animal sounds or anything connected with nature or anything we wanted to, just to connect and feel the spirit of togetherness. And I started to sample these snippets of these vocals. As you can see in this sun worship video, we're singing in the exact way we sang on this opening chakras opening session.
Let's have a look at it now. Sun worship. Last year, I think summer and autumn, you know, the jazz world was very brightened by 2 recordings by a breakout quartet going under the name of Blotto,
Yes.
and which means the mud or the mire. And Blotto, Sebastian, your conceptualist and manager, told me it's dirty, it's obscure and belongs to the city, and it's entirely improvised. Let's just have a brief look at that first.
We were on the road the day before we had a gig with EABS. There was an evening that we had nothing to do, so we decided to go to the studio. We set up our instruments and we recorded 90 minutes of improvised music. Just because someone said this sounds like Błoto, so this music sounds like mud.
How liberating is it to be able just to improvise and just do what you want?
It's amazing. I feel like this is my place in music. This is my favorite place in music. We have to stay in discipline. You have to left out your ego and feel the spirit of the group.
Speaking of spirited music, last year you also released as EABS Discipline of Sun Ra, which was EABS' 5th studio album. And that's 7 pieces recorded by Ra between 1956 and 1979. Really fresh arrangements, and they take in what might be seen as sort of post-Ra styles such as hip-hop and Chicago juke, while also embracing 1950s hard bop. Before we talk about that, let's watch a little bit of The Lady with the Golden Stockings, which is a kind of jazz juke reworking. Sun Ra was an American jazz composer, bandleader, keys player, and poet, famed for his experimentalism and cosmic philosophies. And I guess, Marek, you could just tell us what the starting point was for the album.
We focus on the discipline, which I mentioned in case of Błoto's music. Sun Ra, for his orchestra members, he prepared a special kind of exercises, little exercises, and so these exercises were called disciplines.
Did it sharpen the edges of EABS? Do you feel like it, or polished you up a little bit?
I think yes. Each thing we do it's polishing us up. Main idea is this, that without discipline, there is no freedom.
How Sun Ra's philosophies intersect with ideas of Polish musicians. There is this idea of creating jazz of the future, but also covering the past.
Yes, that's right. And that's what we do. That's what we did with Slavic Spirits as well, because we focused on our music heritage from the 60s, 70s, lots of experimental music in Poland, like back in the 60s and 70s. Situation changed a lot in the 80s when Polish musicians started to imitate American musicians more than in 70s. We are new generation which tries to elevate the same thing Polish musicians used to do. We love to share our heritage.
Interstellar low weights, Marek. Why was that a challenge for you?
Because I play synth solo nearly all the way the whole track, and yes, it's beautiful. I opened my heart. This is the evidence of me exploring beauty within myself and pushing it out.
I know you're doing a solo piano album of original pieces. using that piano behind you, which is or to your left rather, which is the Swedish piano. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know that some of these original pieces are inspired by your great-grandmother Mariana, who was a healer raised by witches, which kind of goes back to Slavic Spirits again, what we were speaking about earlier. Tell me a little bit about this new project of solo piano pieces. No tricks.
Yes, no tricks, and it's like it's like being naked, because it's only my piano and me. This is the most challenging moment in my life right now. This idea of my grandmother makes it easier to me, because I feel like I'm connecting with her. I'm exploring pretty much the same area with the EABS conceptual stuff.
Did you ever think, when you formed all those years ago at the Puzzle Club, which you've told us about, and you know that the band would go on to be so popular, so multi-awarded, so critically praised? What do you think is the secret of EABS' success?
I think the consequence of being true to the music and telling stories through the prism of the music. That's the power of this music, that you can talk about this music not in an academic way, but you can talk about this music through the prism of life.
Well, Marek, thank you so much for being with us on this webcast.
Thank you, Jane.